Let's dive into the story of lumber, the material that shapes your home, holds up your roof, and forms the backbone of nearly every building you pass by. It's the same wood that becomes your backyard deck, your neighbor's fence, or maybe that hidden shed you've always wanted. For years, the United States and Canada have been locked in a heated rivalry over softwood lumber, a clash fueled by both economics and national pride. American lumber companies argue that Canada's government-owned forests let Canadian producers cut timber at bargain prices, calling it an unfair advantage. They say this lets Canadian lumber pour into the U.S. at prices American businesses can't compete with, making it tough for them to survive. In response, the U.S. imposes tariffs on Canadian lumber, extra charges designed to even the odds, but which often spark even more friction. There are two main types of tariffs: countervailing duties, which aim to offset those supposed subsidies, and anti-dumping duties, which target lumber sold below market value, something the U.S. calls unfair play. Add them up, and Canadian lumber gets a steep markup at the border, making it pricier for everyone down the supply chain. The goal is to shield American jobs and industries, but in practice, it creates a tangle of problems that ripple through the entire market. This isn't a recent squabble. It's a recurring saga, reignited every few years, with no lasting solution in sight. Past deals, known as softwood lumber agreements, have offered temporary peace, but they always expire, and the cycle starts anew. Right now, there's no agreement in place, and the market is in turmoil. Prices swing unpredictably, and uncertainty rules. The constant threat of new tariffs and legal battles leaves everyone, from Canadian loggers to American builders, wondering what comes next. And who pays the price? Everyday people hoping to build or buy a home. Families dreaming of a place to call their own. The U.S. housing market depends on Canadian lumber. We simply can't produce enough domestically, especially as cities expand and new homes are needed. So when tariffs push prices higher, the extra cost trickles down, from importers to builders, and finally, to families trying to afford a new home or renovation. This isn't just a trade fight, it's a direct blow to the American dream, making it harder for people to put down roots. Every tariff acts like a hidden tax on anyone hoping to build, remodel, or buy a home, quietly raising costs in ways most people never notice. The impact goes far beyond the lumberyard, reaching into neighborhoods, families, and the future of American communities. Ever stop to think how a tariff could push your dream home further out of reach? It's not just some far-off government decision. It's something that can hit your bank account hard, especially if you're in the market to buy or build. Here's the deal. When Canadian lumber rolls across the border, importers get slapped with a tariff, sometimes over 25%. That's a hefty fee tacked on before the wood even makes it into the U.S. That extra cost doesn't just vanish. It gets passed along the chain, from importers to wholesalers, then to lumber yards, and finally to your builder. Each step adds a little more to the final price tag. It's like a row of dominoes. One fee sets off another, and the price keeps rising as the lumber moves down the line. For builders, lumber isn't just another supply. It's one of the biggest costs in putting up a house. When tariffs jump, the cost to frame a house can soar by thousands overnight, throwing budgets and schedules into disarray. Builders can't just eat those losses, so they pass them on to buyers, meaning your new home just got pricier. Suddenly, that house you've been dreaming about is out of reach, all because of a trade fight you had no control over. It's a tough reality for families trying to settle down. And it's not just about higher prices. Every stage of the process, from planning to move in, gets hit. Tariffs stir up chaos and uncertainty in the market, making it nearly impossible to predict what's coming next. The government can change tariff rates at any moment, leaving both builders and buyers in limbo, unable to plan with any real confidence. Imagine quoting a price for a new house, only to watch lumber costs skyrocket before you even break ground. It's a nightmare for everyone involved. This unpredictability slows down projects, causes delays, and makes everyone think twice before starting something new. High tariffs can also mean supply shortages. Importers buy less, and builders scramble to find enough wood to keep jobs moving. The end result? New homes, renovations, even simple repairs all get more expensive, more stressful, and harder to finish on time. The tariff chainsaw doesn't just cut through trees, it slices right through your budget, making it tougher to afford the basics. In the end, it's families who pay the price for these political battles, feeling the squeeze in their everyday lives and future plans. The real cost of a trade war isn't just dollars and cents, it's dreams put on hold, opportunities lost, and families left waiting for a place to call home. America's home builders are feeling the squeeze from lumber tariffs more than anyone else. The National Association of Home Builders says these tariffs are nothing but a tax on homes and on the families who need them. They point out that while a handful of U.S. mills might benefit, millions of workers and buyers are left paying the price. Just a $1,000 jump in home prices can push hundreds of thousands of buyers out of the market. When tariffs tack on $15,000 to a home, the dream of owning a house slips out of reach for many. Builders are pushing for a new softwood lumber agreement to bring back stability and fair pricing. Without it, they're facing project delays, layoffs, and heartbreaking talks with families who can't afford their homes. For builders, this isn't just about policy, it's about keeping the American dream of homeownership alive. As 2025 began, uncertainty gripped the construction sector, with anxiety mounting across the industry. The Trump administration stunned both nations by imposing a sweeping 25% tariff on most Canadian imports, sending shockwaves through the economy. For builders, it was a nightmare scenario. Softwood lumber, already carrying a 14% duty, was about to get even pricier, squeezing budgets on every project. If the new tariff was added on top, total duties would approach 40%, threatening to freeze construction nationwide and jeopardize thousands of jobs. The NAHB and other industry voices sounded the alarm, warning of layoffs, soaring home prices, and a housing crisis that could touch millions of Americans. Then, in a surprising twist, the administration announced Canadian lumber would be spared from the new tariff, catching everyone off guard and sparking cautious hope. Relief swept through the industry. Projects could move forward, and workers finally exhaled after weeks of tension. Still, everyone knew this was only a temporary reprieve, not a lasting fix. The original tariffs remained, and the core dispute between the US and Canada was far from settled, leaving the industry in limbo. The exemption bought the industry some time, but true stability was still out of reach. The threat of more tariffs still hung overhead, keeping everyone on edge and the market volatile. In this ongoing trade standoff, certainty is fleeting, and the future for the industry remains as unpredictable as ever. The recent tariff break offered some breathing room, but it's hardly a solid foundation. Each year, the U.S. Commerce Department reassesses these tariffs, and they can hike them up without warning. Many in the industry worry that the next review could see tariffs double, erasing any recent progress. This ongoing unpredictability leaves mills, importers, and builders unable to make solid plans for the future. Why pour money into new sawmills or major projects when tariffs could jump overnight? Right now, fear drives the market more than actual supply and demand. The only real solution? A lasting agreement that finally brings stability to the industry. Just when you thought tariffs and endless reviews were the worst of it, there's another curveball, something called a Section 232 investigation. This law gives the president the power to block imports if they're seen as a threat to national security. It's usually reserved for metals like steel and aluminum, but now some are pushing to use it against Canadian lumber. If that happens, we could see even steeper tariffs or strict import limits slapped on Canadian wood. Quotas would mean only a set amount of Canadian lumber could cross the border each year, leading to shortages and even higher prices. Even the possibility of a Section 232 probe is enough to keep the market on edge. For Canadian lumber companies, it's a threat to their very survival. For American builders, it's a recipe for disaster. With one political decision, a trade spat could explode into a full-scale crisis. As lawmakers debate, the courtroom has become the new front line. Legal challenges are questioning whether the president had the authority to enforce these tariffs. At the heart of it all, did the administration bypass the boundaries set by Congress? If the courts decide against the tariffs, they could be reversed or revised. But court cases take time, so for now the tariffs remain and uncertainty lingers. The final verdict could redefine American trade policy for years to come. Meanwhile, businesses are left in limbo, unsure if tariffs will stick or disappear. This legal showdown only deepens the complexity of an already messy conflict. This ongoing lumber dispute isn't just a boardroom battle, it sends shockwaves throughout the entire economy. Soaring wood prices put the brakes on building, threaten jobs, and slow economic progress. The impact stretches from construction crews to factories, realtors, and everyday buyers. What was once a unified North American lumber market is now divided and uncertain. Canadian companies seek new markets, U.S. mills face unpredictability, and planning becomes a guessing game. It's the families and small builders who feel the pinch the most. Buying lumber now means dealing with trade disputes, legal wrangling, and wild price changes. The answer? A fresh, lasting softwood lumber agreement. That would bring stability, lower costs, and help more people achieve home ownership. It's time to move past the disputes and focus on building a better tomorrow.